All right. Well, good evening, everybody. It is time for another local author chat. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. My name is Ellen Miles. I'm the Programming and Outreach Coordinator at the Camas Public Library. And tonight I am here with Meg Wilson, who is a local author that reached out to us about getting her book into the library. And I was so excited about the book that she's written that I wanted to do this chat with her. So Meg, thank you so much for coming tonight.
Thank you, Ellen. I'm excited to be here.
Great. I have just a little intro I'm going to read about you, and then we'll just get into the questions. Does that sound good?
Perfect.
Okay, great. Meg Wilson and her husband of 38 years have two grown daughters, and they are grands to two precious children so far. She has always loved the written word and pursued various types of writing. Her first published work was the nonfiction book Hope After Betrayal, but her love of children's books was still calling. Meg believes it is important to be intentional about legacy. After the birth of her first grandchild, all of the new feelings had to find a voice, and You Made Me Grand was the result. So welcome again to Meg. And your first question is kind of an easy one. It's very general. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh yeah, that's easy. Let's see, I grew up in a military home, so I was a military brat, moved around quite a lot growing up, and I even got to live in England for 3 years, which was a highlight. And I graduated high school in England, then came back to the United States and went to college and met my husband, and then we ended up after a couple of moves transplanting to Washington in 2000. And so far, this is definitely home. This is the longest I've ever lived anywhere. And we live in Camas, and we love it. We love our neighborhood. We just feel really, really thankful. I was confessing earlier that we don't want to tell too many people how awesome it is.
Yeah, it's beautiful here. It's a great town.
Yeah.
All right, next question. What was it like to write your book?
This was such a different process. It was, for me, writing is very cathartic. I have a lot of big feels, and they come out in the written word, whether it's journaling or poetry. And this started out as an idea. We were actually at the beach with some other couples, and one of the other gals was sharing that she found out that both her daughter and daughter-in-law were pregnant and within weeks of each other. So she was about to be a grand times 2.
Wow.
And so I was explaining to her at the table, I said, I know you're excited, but you don't even know what's going to happen when they're born and you see them for the first time. It's like there's this door in your heart that you didn't even know was there, and it opens up. And Tom, this big burly Cuban guy, looks at me and he goes, you know what? That's exactly right. And I thought, oh, maybe I'm onto something. And then I think the germ of that idea was rolling around in my head. And just one morning, it just started pouring out as kind of a poem. And then I, crafted it, ran it by some friends. The response was really positive. And then I sat down with one of my writing mentors who's published many, many books. And we fine-tuned it and crafted it, and it became more. I realized I really wanted it to be in a children's book form because I wanted to read it to my own grandson. At that time, I just had the grandson. Now I have a granddaughter. And then, just as luck would have it, I guess, my new son-in-law, who's from the Netherlands, his sister is a graphic artist. And I was telling her about this project, and she's like, I'd love to give that a shot. So we did a contract. We did it all professional. She said, I'll do a few drawings, and then you let me know if my style fits what you're looking for. So it was a good experience. I know family doesn't always work out that way, but that was really good. And then she did the first drawings, and I thought, she's got it. This is a little bit of her work behind me. She nailed it. And I love that it has a little bit of a European feel, the illustrations. So.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I recognize that picture behind you from the book itself.
Yeah.
So when it was time to get your book published, how did that happen?
Well, I originally had published the nonfiction and went a fairly traditional route, went to writers' conferences, got an agent, and it was published traditionally. But with children's story, because of the four color, I really wanted it to be hardback. It's really tough. I submitted it to a couple of places and didn't get the interest, but kept getting encouragement from my friends. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna. And the publishing world has really changed a lot thanks to Amazon and KDP. And so I just feel like, cream rises to the top. So if I do a really good job at it, and then the day came when the pallets arrived and the books arrived in my garage, and I thought, oh no, I need to now sell these. But it's been fun, and it's just beginning. I mean, I've literally just got them on Amazon and have started selling to people I know and the people they know, and it's been fun to have people come back and say, oh, I need 4 more books. So the response is good. Now I just have to do the marketing and break through the search engine purgatory I'm in on Amazon, and figure out that kind of thing. So
That's so fascinating. That's really interesting, especially the comparison between your first book and this book. Yeah, that's great. Well, was there anything that surprised you during that whole process with this book?
gosh, I don't think anything surprised me. I'm pretty good at researching. I think the surprise really came at how quickly the book just flowed out. I mean, I literally sat down and the idea was pretty much born in a relatively short amount of time. And then just getting encouragement from other grandparents and realizing, okay, I've put voice to something that many grandparents feel. And obviously there's a huge market where all us baby boomers are in the grandparent. And then I've actually written the text for You Made Me Great. I'm not a great grandmother, but I did my research and had some ideas start to flow, and sat down with a couple of greats and said, hey, am I on the right track? And they said yes. And then through the course of those conversations, I was able to finish that book. So I'm not sure when that one will take flight in terms of the illustrations, but so the next one's ready to go.
Great. Well, let me know when that one's out, and we will make sure the library has a copy also.
Thank you. I will do that.
So, for aspiring authors, do you have any pieces of advice?
Yeah, I do. I remember going to writers' conferences and hearing people make declarative statements like you have to have a platform of 5,000 people, or you have to pick a genre and stick with it, which clearly I'm not doing. I'm a bit of a schizophrenic writer. And I say just be true to yourself and honor the gifts that you have if you love to write by honing your skill. I did a 2-year program. It's a writers guild, and you basically get assigned a published author. And I had homework every 2 weeks, and they took us through newspaper and humor and fiction, nonfiction. It was a wonderful experience because I thought, if I'm going to do this, I want to do it well. So, and then I say, just if you can I've been really fortunate to be in a couple of amazing critique groups. And there's a difference between a critique group and a group of critics.
I see.
Yeah. So you want to have people that are your champions and that give you constructive feedback, not just poke holes in your work, because it's still your baby. So yeah, but that's been really helpful. I've had some authors that are further down the road really share their skills and their knowledge with me, and I appreciate that.
That makes sense. That's great. Yeah. All right. Well, what is one of your favorite books that you would recommend to everyone?
Well, I was thinking about that, and I'm reading a lot of children's stories because my grandson is 6. And I told him early on, Grammy will never say no to a book. And so he'll often carry over 5 or 6 books and we will read them all. And so I think couple of my favorites. One is Oscar Wilde's The Happy Prince. It's such I still cry. It's such a beautiful story of unselfishness and a quality that I want my grandson to have. And so that's one of my favorite. And then I call him my little Ferdinand. Ferdinand the Bull is another old,
Oh, yeah.
because
Love that one.
he's like his Grammy. He has all the feels. He's sensitive, and he likes to paint and read books and smell the flowers. So I think those are the two that I'm really, really enjoying right now.
That's great. I love those. So I have a couple questions from the audience. Some people wrote in some questions knowing that we were going to do this tonight. So Gerard from Camus wants to know, how did you find an illustrator you wanted to work with? And I guess you kind of already answered that, but like going forward, maybe for your second book, how would you go about finding an illustrator you wanted to work with?
Well, actually, if you want to go the traditional route, then most publishing houses want to provide the illustrator, especially if you're an unknown author. So I didn't have an illustrator when I was considering pursuing the traditional line. But then I was just kind of like, I had a couple of people that I knew were artists, and just kind of in my world, in my 6 degrees of separation. And so I definitely say, when you're looking for someone, treat it as a business transaction. Make sure that you're not promising anything until you actually see drawings for your book, because that's critical. And there's a lot of amazing artists. In fact, there's a website where you can actually look for graphic artists. I'll have to think about. My son-in-law was telling me about it, and you can look for people to help with social media, all kinds of things. And I'm going to have to ask him. I can't think of the name of it right now.
That's all right. You know what? We'll put that in the comments of the video later so people can find it.
Yeah, I will text him and I will find out, because that was my next option if Marika's didn't turn out. But I was fortunate and it's nice to have it in the family.
That is true. That's true.
Yeah.
All right. Another question from the community. Maria from Canis asks, do you think you'll write another book? Absolutely.
There's always another book. I'm actually, because I am very not traditional, and I'm sure there are a lot of writers that would say that I'm going about it the wrong way. But my next project is a friend of mine in Camas writes screenplays, and heard about a historical novel that I've written the rough draft of, and she loves it. And so we're going to collaborate and take this historical novel and try to make it into a movie.
Oh, that's great. That's really exciting.
It is fun. And, I hold it all really loosely. I'm not trying to, there are different avenues. There are people that really are trying to build a business. And at my age, I'm just having fun and just stretching my creative wings. So I think that it depends on what your goals are with your writing as well. That's why I say be true to your path, even if it's different.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, we've reached almost the end of our interview tonight. So how can people find you and find your book?
Well, there is a copy at the Camas Library. There, you can go to the website, and we are just about to transition that link to Amazon. But right now, you just sign up for interest, and you'll get notified once the link's available. Or you can go to the link provided. It'll be provided under the YouTube page of this video. We're going to provide the exact link, because as I mentioned, if you put in the book name or my name, it's not coming up because of search engine optimization. And you can tell by the color of my hair how good I am with technology. So I'm still trying to figure that out. So you can access it directly on Amazon with that link. So
you have a website though?
Yeah, it's just, youmademegrand.com. That tells you more about me, and it'll tell you about Marika. And then you can sign up for interest in any day now. My web person is supposed to be adding a link, the direct link to Amazon. So it'll be easier to order through there. So,
Great.
yeah.
Great. Fantastic. Well, would you like to read your book for our audience tonight?
I would love to read my book.
Wonderful. I thought you might say that because I brought your book. And I'm going to have to turn off my virtual background. I'm not really in front of the library right now. I'm just in my office, but let me turn this off so that I can show the pictures of the book while you're reading it.
Perfect.
Okay. Can you still see me okay?
Yep.
Okay, great.
The book looks good. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Our nest had been empty just a short while. Left were sweet memories, like your mom's toothless smile. After raising our children, we watched as they flew. A few weddings later, our gatherings grew. We settled in to a world filled with grown-ups. One big announcement would change that setup. My baby was expecting a baby at hand, and I started dreaming about being grand. My new name was given a great deal of thought. Would I be Grammy, Mimi, or not? Some grand names are passed down without much ado, but for me, this grand role deserves something new. Several of my friends had grandkids. I could always tell by their goofy old grins. I wondered as they beamed, what's the big deal? Still, we counted the days, though it felt so unreal. Every grand wonders, will you be a boy or a girl? Would your hair be stick straight or naturally curl? Excitement was brewing as your arrival drew near, more anxious this time than with my little dears. Then the day came. It was time. You were coming. Your mother called. We cheered and came running. After some hard work by your mom, you popped out. We soaked in every detail. You were ours with no doubt. I reached ever so gently for your delicate hand and got the first glimpse of what it meant to be grand. When you held on, the unexpected took place, something amazing as I gazed in your face. A door in my heart I didn't know existed, flung open with new feelings that couldn't be resisted. Rainbows and butterflies released from within, and my face began shining with a goofy old grin. I looked at my daughter and back at your hand. Everything's brighter since you made me grand.
Oh, yay. That was lovely. That was lovely. Thank you. I had read the book, but it's so nice hearing you read it aloud. So Meg, I can't thank you enough again for your time this evening and coming and doing our chat. And this is in the library now, so if people would like to read it, they're welcome to put it on hold, check it out. And yeah, thank you again so much.
Thank you, Ellen. It was fun.
Wonderful. All right, well, have a good night.
All right. You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.